Andy Sullivan, Blue Collar Corner. I received a very interesting email today, and in the title it said, "This video might stop Romney from taking the White House." Now, of course, it was from an extremely ardent liberal. And this gentleman who sent me the video told me it was from moveon.org. And of course, it's two extremely attractive people spewing the same old rhetoric and making all kinds of outlandish accusations, completely, unsubstantiated, and basically lying to the American people. But who does it better than a bunch of good-looking liberals? So let's take a peek at it. I'm going to stop it now and then just to make a few points.
You might be watching this election season and thinking to yourself, there's no way that Mitt Romney could ever beat Obama.
This is a guy who says corporations are people and straps the family dog to the roof of his car.
He refuses to release more than 2 years of tax returns, and he parks his money in the Cayman Islands.
I mean, did anyone even vet this guy?
Anyone?
But seriously, while it might seem totally impossible, the fact is, it's totally possible.
You're darn right it's totally possible. Now, they brought up a couple of points that I think are just hysterical. First of all, did anyone vet this guy? Who vetted Obama? Nobody. The only reason people found out about Obama was because the people themselves did the work and the research to find out about this guy. Because the mainstream media was definitely not doing the job. Because the mainstream media was invested in this guy. They were totally on board with him. He was this wonderful blank slate, good-looking African-American, and this was it. We were going to move on. Racism was going to be behind us, and everything was just going to be hunky-dory. Sea levels were going to drop. The heavens were going to open up. The angels will sing. Well, it turned out that did not happen. Okay, and now President Obama has this awful economy that was his doing, not anyone else's. He is directly responsible for this abysmal economy, and I absolutely blame him. And the fact that they're trying to pawn it off on the GOP is just laughable and very desperate. So that makes me feel kind of good.
That's due to a three-pronged GOP plan to get Mitt Romney into the White House. And you need to know about this, because as of right now, it's on track to succeed.
Prong 1, sabotage our economy and then blame Obama for it.
The GOP are doing things like starving states of funding, which force massive layoffs, and then criticizing Obama for those job losses.
Under Obama, Republicans are opposing things they used to always be in favor of.
Remember that debt ceiling debacle from last year that damaged our credit rating and caused businesses not to hire? Republicans are threatening that same standoff again in 2013.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said,
Now that's pretty hysterical. And I love their assumption that the GOP is so together that they have a three-pronged plan. Okay, the GOP are pathetic, and I'm the first one to admit it. I can't believe they're actually doing as well as they're doing. I give a lot of credit to Paul Ryan. I think he injected a huge amount of vigor and youth, and he's elevated this campaign from out of the gutter. Now, you tell me how the GOP starves states. Okay, that's hysterical. The fact that Mr. Obama has not had a budget in the last 1,200 days, and businesses don't know what their expenditures are going to be like, and it's stopping them from making any kind of investment and hiring. So, I think it's laughable, once again, that they think the GOP is so creative that they could actually come up with something this brilliant. Let's listen to more.
the single most important thing we want to achieve is for President Obama to be a one-term president.
Not jobs, not an economic recovery. It's all about defeating Obama.
And the most frightening part about this strategy is that it's working. The latest polls indicate more Americans actually blame Obama for the struggling economy.
Because it's true. And Mitch McConnell, he's a Republican. Republicans' jobs, his job one is to get the Democrat out of power. Okay, he just said it. They might call it a gaffe, But you know what a gaffe is in the political world? It's a politician who accidentally tells the truth. So for Mitch McConnell being truthful, hey, score one for the old fella.
Over Wall Street, Congress, or even George W. Bush, you know, the people that caused the crash in the first place.
Many Americans don't see the recovery we need and just simply blame the president, and the GOP knows that, which is why they fought every reform proposed by the Obama administration every single time. That's prong one.
Prong two, round up a bunch of rich 1%.
Before we get to prong two, which is great, you got to listen to it. They're blaming Wall Street. Okay, it was Fannie and Freddie and a Democratic-dominated Congress that caused this collapse. And were Republicans to blame? Yeah, because they let it happen. Because they didn't have the political will or the guts to get out there and say, you know what, these loans are wrong. Even though they're to minorities, they're wrong. Because these people cannot afford these loans, and at some point, there's going to be a reckoning, and the whole bottom is going to fall out. And that's exactly what happened. But you see, when they did try and bring it up in Congress, you had guys like Barney Frank getting up and calling the Republicans racist. You don't want to see minorities with homes. You're a racist. Okay, the worst thing you could call anybody in the whole world. And of course, it's their biggest defense, pulling out the race card. And just like the weak, pathetic establishment GOP, they ran away and hid. And they let this collapse. They let it happen. They let the Democrats roll us right down this hill.
Senators to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on misleading ads smearing Obama.
Remember Karl Rove? Yeah, he's back. Rove's group and allies are going to spend over $1 billion this election.
Outside conservative groups have already spent 7 times more than groups supporting Obama.
Helping out, of course, are the Koch brothers. Maybe you've heard of them. So who do you think Mitt's going to answer to when it's decision-making time in the White House?
I'm just going to take a wild guess and say his millionaire and billionaire donors and not mere you.
So let's talk about where all this money is going. It's pummeling voters every single day with misleading TV and radio ads in those swing states. Basically doing whatever they can to confuse and deceive people about Obama, because they know if they repeat their lies often enough, it just might stick. That's prong two.
Prong three, an unprecedented voter support.
Before we get to prong three, let's talk about prong two. Okay, all of this money that's being spent, all of these lies that are being told. Okay, it turns out I did a little research, and for every $8.4 million that the Romney people spend, the Obama people spend $9.9 million. Okay, so they're lying right there. And if Romney's on his way to raising $1 billion, good for him. Obama did it last election cycle. What, he's the only guy that can raise money? People are angry, and people do not want to go down the road that Mr. Obama wants to take us. And it's coming out through donations. Now, you want to talk about donors with very lurid past. How about George Soros? The guy was a Nazi war criminal. Nazi war criminal, George Soros. Okay, no one's put more money. But MoveOn.org was completely fueled by funds from George Soros. And then you have these entertainers, guys like Bill Maher, Spike Lee, saying all kinds of inappropriate, disgusting things about conservative people, especially women. Where are the women's groups? When Bill Maher calls Sarah Palin the C word, or calls Michelle Bachmann a bimbo, where are the women groups? And Bill Maher turns around and hands $1 million to Obama, and he takes it. Spike Lee, same thing. I love this selective morality that the Democrats have. Let's listen to the third prong, because this is totally hysterical.
Depression campaign. In Florida, Governor Rick Scott has started a purge that's removing eligible voters, 87% of whom are Latinos and people of color, from the rolls.
And we're seeing another different type of voter suppression in Pennsylvania, with the state's new voter ID law, which will now require a photo ID to vote, even though over 750,000 Pennsylvania voters don't have one.
In case you had any doubts about the purpose of these efforts, the Pennsylvania House Majority Leader, Republican Mike Turzai, actually admitted that the new voter ID law is intended to hand Mitt Romney the White House.
Voter ID, which is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Done.
This voter suppression effort is no joke. It's estimated that as many as 5 million potential voters could be affected in 2012, more than enough to tip the scales for Mitt Romney.
It starts to feel like the GOP isn't interested in trying to win this election on Mitt Romney's merits. I mean, why else would they be willing to employ a strategy that actively denies American citizens, especially those of color, their legal rights to vote? Should we connect the dots?
I think we should. Let's just call it what it is. A racist strategy to stop voters that they think are statistically inclined.
That's it. That's it. Racism alert. Racism alert. Aruga. I knew this was coming. Okay? Of course, the race card. Let me explain something to the whole nation, especially you libs. If not for white voters, Obama doesn't win 2008. Do you understand that? It was the white voter that put Obama in the White House. Now, the reason people are upset is because he made a lot of promises that he absolutely did not keep. And he was very deceiving in the way he presented himself to the people. He was more of a moderate. Yeah, he leaned a little bit left, but he was a moderate, very calm and cool thinking sort of fella. And what he turned into was this liberal monster. Okay, he said that our economic growth would be at 4.3% by this stage. 2 months ago, you know what it was at? 1.5. That is pathetic and anemic. Unemployment. He said unemployment at this stage would be 5.6%. For the last 40 some odd months, unemployment has been above 8%. And remember when he took all of those hundreds of billions of dollars, the stimulus money, where he took care of all of his green jobs and that whole green agenda, you know, all the businesses that went out of business? Yeah, all of that money burned up for nothing. Nothing at all. It was supposed to guarantee us that unemployment would never get above 8%. Well, guess what? Another lie. Another deception. Let's see the grand finale.
And Mitt Romney is right in lockstep with that plan.
And we need to sit up and take notice. The GOP's plan can win them the White House if Obama supporters don't take action, like now.
The next president could fill 3 Supreme Court justice seats. This election is about a whole lot more than Obama versus Romney. It's about the soul and direction of our country for the next 50 years. The only question is, are you ready to fight back?
MoveOn.org. You gotta love it. That was great. I wish the GOP was that intelligent. And you know what? I am feeling pretty good about the whole election right now. But there's still a lot of days to go. And there's one thing that I got to say about the GOP. They, at any moment, can completely come apart and unravel. I've seen them do it before. I hope it doesn't happen this election because this is one of the most important elections of my lifetime and I'm sure of yours. It's Andy Sullivan from Blue Collar Corner. Don't forget to vote.